They birth you, they raise you, they love you, and they may just eviscerate your internal organs and split you in half. Moms, right? Today we'll be talking about some of the best moms in genre to celebrate Mother's Day. Don't worry, you don't have to send your mom a gift or card this year. You can just send her a link to this video. Our first genre mother takes us to 1986 and the release of James Cameron's Aliens. The first sequel to Ridley Scott's Alien is more about moms than you might think. Aliens finds Ellen Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver, waking up 57 years after the first Alien. Everyone she knew and loved is dead, including her daughter. Well, I mean, Jonesy the cat is still alive. Anyway, Ripley ends up heading to LV-426, the planet where the alien originated from in the first movie. By the end of the film, she faces off with the alien queen, who was really ticked off because Ripley blew up all her eggs. It all leads to a final showdown which features this iconic line.
Get away from her, you bitch!
By the end, Ripley solidifies her role as Newt's surrogate mother by defeating the alien's mommy. Like we said, Aliens is not a monster movie, it's a mother movie. On a side note, did anyone else spend at least 10 years thinking when Newt says this?
I need a comb.
She's saying, I need a comb? Listen to it again.
I need a comb.
I thought that's what she was saying until I was 16 because no lie, yeah, she needs a comb. Would have made sense. Our next mother comes from the role-playing video game Undertale. The bulk of the game takes place in an underground cavern populated with monsters that once lived in harmony with mankind. Sounds a bit like the premise of a Guillermo del Toro movie, right? I think so. Anyway, players take on the persona of a small child that falls into the cavern and must fight monsters or make allies with them in order to survive. Watching over the main character is Toriel, a motherly and goat-looking monster who seeks to protect the player from the cavern's many dangers. While Toriel was created as a way to poke fun at the way some games literally hold the hands of players with endless tutorials, she provides real-world lessons, like showing mercy to adversaries. She also gives you a phone with which to contact her, and if that ain't the most mom thing to do, we don't know what is. Apropos of nothing, here's Carol Channing turning into a goat.
Better. Much better.
Next up is that red-haired matriarch Molly Weasley of the Harry Potter films. Since we first met Molly in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, she's been nothing but a sort of replacement mother for Harry, inviting him over for holidays and knitting him special Christmas sweaters. Even with the arduous task of raising 7 children, she makes it her duty to make sure Harry is being cared for and fed well. Who could forget the time in Goblet of Fire when she pulled Harry into that close embrace over the guilt that he maybe caused Cedric Diggory's death and it was just too much for him? And she even became his mother-in-law after Harry married Ginny. Formidable and full of love in equal measure, Molly is the wizarding mother we all deserve.
Not my daughter, you bitch!
Now let's talk about serial killers, right? While Jason Voorhees is now associated with the Friday the 13th franchise, he doesn't show up in the movie that started it all until the very end. The real antagonist of the first film? His mother. Played by Betsy Palmer, Pamela Voorhees was working as a cook at Camp Crystal Lake when her son Jason drowned, while the counselors, preferring to party and have teenage premarital intercourse, were supposed to be watching him. God. Jason's body was never recovered, and Pamela lost her sanity, swearing vengeance against the counselors of Camp Crystal Lake after the loss of her boy, whom she was extremely overprotective of. Pamela embarked on a murder spree, not only killing the 2 counselors who were supposed to be watching Jason, but a whole group of teenagers decades later. In the end, Pamela was decapitated, and a not really dead Jason carried her head around and stuck it in the fridge until part 2, which is a true and pure manifestation of a son's love.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her. Don't let her live.
I won't, Jason. I won't.
On to The Land Before Time. Directed by legendary animator Don Bluth, this movie was released in 1988 and produced by Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. Spielberg, in particular, wanted to do a take on Bambi, but with dinosaurs. And you know what that means. Okay, I'm fine. Anyway, The Land Before Time opens with the birth of Littlefoot, a brontosaurus, or longneck, who is watched over by his loving mother and grandparents.
Call him Littlefoot.
One day, Littlefoot and his friends are attacked by a Tyrannosaurus Rex, or Sharptooth. His mother comes to the rescue and saves the day, but at the cost of her life. After the encounter, Littlefoot finds his dying mother in the pouring rain as she tells him to follow his heart and that she'll always be with him, even if he can't see her. Dinosaur ghost.
It whispers. So listen closely.
Mother? Mother?
And finally, we come to Terminator's Sarah Connor. Her motherly attributes didn't really manifest themselves until Terminator 2 Judgment Day because John hadn't been born yet in the previous film. Her childbearing skills were questionable at best as she tried to prepare her son to become the leader of the human resistance against the machines in the future. Sarah, played by Linda Hamilton, was arrested and committed to an insane asylum after trying to bomb a computer factory, and her story of making a baby with a man from the future probably didn't help her case.
And here we are. Morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Dr. Silberman. How's the knee?
Her imprisonment left John in the care of foster parents, which resulted in angry and rebellious behavior and floppy hair because all teenage rebels in the late 80s and early 90s that had secret pain also had floppy hair. John eventually realized his mom had his best interests at heart and truly loved him, and they teamed up to save the future. So whether your mom is an egg-laying alien queen, an overly protective witch, a counselor murdering psychopath, or a protective goat monster, give her a call this Mother's Day, won't you?